Thank you, Nathan. Yeah, my son just turned into fifth grade, so he's able to jump into that. So he is back there along with my niece. So take advantage of that. It's gonna be awesome. But so a couple of weeks ago, when I found out I was gonna be preaching today, I was just praying, Lord, what do you want me to preach on? What do you want me to do? And so I was just praying and just pondering and whatnot, and ended up waking up in the middle of the night one night, and God laid on my heart to pray on John 11:35. Who knows the significance of that verse? Anybody know? It's the shortest verse in the Bible. It's Jesus wept, and that's it. And that came to my mind, and that verse has always just intrigued me in different ways because so much is conveyed in those two words. So today we are going to be digging into that, talking about what leads up to that, as well as the after, and we're going to be talking about pain, hope, and joy. So many times we define our lives by the events that happen. And recently my kids they're homeschooled, and as my wife is talking about history, they made their own timelines. And so I asked my daughter if I could share her timeline, and she said yes. So here's her timeline, and there's some fun things on it, like born January 18th in Black River Falls, Wisconsin. First vacation Bible school, first birthday, became a big sister, moved to Minnesota, learned how to ride a two-wheeled bike, started ballet, finished first chapter book. Lots of fun things that kind of like start off of like, hey, this is the first time got to do this, super excited. So a lot of times we focus on the good fun times, but we forget a lot of times and we leave out the bad. And you're like, why would I want to focus on the bad? But a lot of times the bad is what leads to the good. The Adeline needing to expel some energy and loving dance. And it's like, well, let's put you into ballet. And that became a fun, new, exciting thing. I'm tired of riding a bike with training wheels and whatnot. Well, let's try something new and scary. But guess what? Now there's so much fun and excitement in riding a two-wheeled bike. So we notice a lot of times that in that change, it's hard, but something sparks a need for change within us, and that leads to transformation. It's a central part of our testimony as well. So I was this, then something happened, and now I'm this. For me, I saw that living a life focused on myself and doing what I wanted in my way became a massive distraction. It hurt me and others around me, and it left me severely depressed. And I saw that I needed something else. I needed something to change. And that change was giving my life to Christ, and rather than focusing on what I wanted, I was focusing on what he wanted for me. I gave my life to him, vowing to honor him in all that I do. Am I perfect at it? Absolutely not. I still mess up, I still sin, but I am living my life in a consistent way, doing all that I can to honor him. So there was pain, there was frustration. I saw a need for change, and then now I live a joy-filled life knowing that I have purpose and a part to play in God's plan for humanity. I live each day with a purpose to help others be the person that God created them to be for his glory. That is my passion. So in the moment, it's hard to see past the pain of what is happening, but today I want us to take a look beyond the pain to see the hope and joy that God has planned for us. So like I said, we're digging into John 11:35, but we're going to take a look at the passages before that first. So let's go back to chapter 10 a little bit. So the pain before. In chapter 10, verses 22 or so, Jesus is in Jerusalem at the temple, and the Jews are asking him if he's the Messiah or not, and he says, "I and the Father are one," in verse 30. At this, the crowd picked up stones to stone Jesus for claiming to be God, and somehow Jesus escaped their grasp and leaves Jerusalem. And then following that, Jesus is ministering in an area near the Dead Sea across the Jordan from Jerusalem, and he gets word that his friend Lazarus is sick. Lazarus lived in Bethany, about a day's travel away from where Jesus was, and Jesus decides to wait before he goes there, and he tells his disciples and then later on he tells his disciples that Lazarus has died and it's time to go wake him up. Okay, lots of back and forth. And when Jesus gets to Bethany, he meets Lazarus' sisters, Mary and Martha, and this is where we lead up to the account directly before verse 35. So I'm going to read John 11:30 through 34. Now Jesus had not yet entered into the village, but was still at the place where Martha had met him. When the Jews who had been with Mary in the house comforting her noticed how quickly she got up and went out, they followed her, supposing she was going to the tomb to mourn there. When Mary reached the place where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet and said, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. "Where have you laid him?" he asked. "Come and see, Lord," they replied. So here we see what causes the pain. First, Jesus is run out of Jerusalem, his life under threat. He had been rejected as Israel's Messiah, and the people are actively trying to kill him. And then one of Jesus' close friends and a well-respected person in Israel ends up passing away from an illness. And instead of healing his friend, Jesus knew that Lazarus had to first die so that Jesus could show the world that he is truly the Son of God. And up until this point, throughout all that has been happening, Jesus has been poised and calm, assuring Martha and his disciples that Lazarus would rise again. But when the rest of the group appeared, something changes. So he's been calm and poised and just like, everything's under control. It's okay. But then in analyzing verse 33, we see that Jesus was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. Now, deeply moved it literally means to snort like a horse, right? If you can imagine a horse going hump, 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 kind of a thing. That's what the Israelites kind of translated that into. So he was, and it connotates anger. So we know he wasn't angry at the sisters because he was trying to comfort them. So we can't help but see that Jesus was angry at the fact that he had to go through this situation. The fact that sin and death had entered into the beautiful world that his Father had created for humanity. And now the second word, troubled, is translated agitated. And it just adds to what's going on. Jesus, being human, felt the pain of sorrow, anger, and grief. And it all accumulates into this. So Jesus is an example for us when we go through hard times. It's okay to get angry and frustrated over things that break God's heart. And it's the pain in the world that leads to transformation. Many of our ministries here at Redeemer were born out of seeing or feeling pain. They started to meet those needs, the need of those pains in one way or another. So our youth ministry provides a wonderful space where teens can connect together, have fun, grow closer together, and grow closer to God. Our growth groups provide a space for you to live in community together, coming alongside each other in your struggles and applying the Bible to your life. Bible studies are intentional spaces where you get to dig into the Bible with others and glean from each other all the wonderful insights that God has in his word. And serving opportunities provide spaces for you to connect with and work alongside others to make all these wonderful things happen and change many lives. Did you know, well, many of you may not know, but I have a list of 67 different ministries and aspects of Redeemer that all make Redeemer what it is. All sorts of different ministries and pieces, 67. That is a lot of wonderful, amazing pieces. 67 different ways that there was pain and somebody saw a need and we are meeting that pain. So it's hard to name every single one of them, let alone all the lives that those ministries have affected. And then two, even, not to mention all the ways that your giving has made a difference to countless numbers of lives in this community. I want to say thank you so much for you volunteers, those who step up and give over and beyond just here's $1 or whatever. Like those of you who come on a Sunday morning and are a part of our worship team, those who are on the tech team, those who welcome, who make coffee, every single one of you add to the worshipful experience where we can come together and worship our amazing God. And all of this is made possible because at one point in time, someone felt a pain, a need for a new church 108 years ago and started a church here, Redeemer. We were started 108 years ago where there was just farmland surrounding us, not much going on. The little chapel that you see out there built 108 years ago, and here we are today. The countless numbers of lives that we have affected and changed and drawn closer to Christ. So that's all wrapping up all sorts of pain aspects. But that's not all there is. Pain isn't just it and then end of story and that's all. Okay, what's next? Hope during. Hope during. So John 11:35, Jesus wept. So here Jesus is. People in Jerusalem are trying to stone him. His close friend has died, and he's seeing his friends in great sorrow. Jesus feels the weight of how sin has broken the beautiful world that was created for humanity, and he breaks down crying. The hurt, the anger, the grief all build up to Jesus breaking down and crying. Not a fake cry, not just a simple tear being shed, but a cry from the depths of his heart, seeing the pain the ones he loved were feeling. Jesus didn't weep because of the loss of Lazarus or that he didn't have hope. He wept because of his compassion and love for humanity. This is such a powerful thing to me, that the Son of God entered into their grief, felt his own grief for humanity, and he cried. When in those deepest moments of pain and sadness, where no words are sufficient for the hurt that is happening, tears speak a language that nothing else can. Jesus' weeping shows us that it's okay to cry. It's good to come alongside the person next to you when they are hurting. It's good when your heart hurts for the pain in the world. That's the beauty of being a part of and serving in the ministries here at Redeemer. We give each other hope in and through the situations we come across. You have a community of comfort that surrounds you when you're in need. You have a community of hope that walks alongside you to share the stories of transformation from pain to hope. We are a family of broken people coming together in our brokenness to shine the love of Christ to everyone around us, the hope that we have for him. So, and that's not the end of the story. So you have pain, you have in the moment of just weeping and anguish and hurt. And then it's not the end of the story. So, John 11:36 through 45, let's read this account and see what happens. Then the Jews said, "See how he loved him." But some of them said, "Could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying?" Jesus, once more deeply moved, came to the tomb. It was a cave with a stone laid across the entrance. "Take away the stone," he said. "But Lord," said Martha, the sister of the dead man. By this time there is a bad odor, for he has been there for 4 days. Hold on a second. Can you imagine how weird this is? Like, Lazarus has been dead for 4 days, and they're like, okay, the body's starting to decompose, and then all of a sudden Jesus is like, let's open up the tomb. That's really weird, especially to the people there. But let's see their response. Then Jesus said, did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God? So they took away the stone. Then Jesus looked up and said, Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I said this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me. When he had said this, Jesus called out in a loud voice, Lazarus, come out. The dead man came out, his hands and feet wrapped with strips of linen and a cloth around his face. Jesus said to them, take off the grave clothes and let him go. Therefore, many of the Jews who had come to visit Mary and had seen what Jesus did believed in him. So multiple lives were transformed that day. They felt pain and some had hope, but didn't have joy. But by the end of it, as it says in verse 45, therefore, many of the Jews who had come to visit Mary and had seen what Jesus did believed in him. They saw the joy of what it is to know Jesus and to love him no matter what is going on in their lives. Jesus doesn't just stop at the pain of what was. He looks forward to the hope of what will be and the joy beyond. Jesus raises Lazarus from the dead to show the power he has over death. He ached for the pain in the world, but he knew what was ahead and that this life now is not all that there is. So many times we get wrapped up in the right now. What's bothering me right now? The pain of right now, the hurt of right now. And we forget the beauty of eternity. Jesus, you can tell Jesus, the reason why he was so poised before all this is because he knew. He's like, I've got it in control. The temporary frustration of right now is not all that there is. Someday, there's going to be amazing, wonderful things that God has in store. It may hurt right now, but something good is going to happen. I want to say that, Redeemer, something good is going to happen. James 1:2-4 says, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. This is the beauty of joy in the Bible. It shows us that pain is an opportunity for growth. It is a chance for us to show how much we truly rely on God for our strength. Do I have painful moments in my past that I don't like to relive? Absolutely. Do I wish that they didn't happen? Kind of. I never wish that pain on myself or on someone. However, the pain of what was is because of has made me the man I am today. And because when I was a teenager and I went through that pain and that hardship and that struggle and I didn't give up, I knew God had something amazing in store for me. It's the only reason why I'm alive today. He had good things in store for me. And now I have a beautiful wife and 3 amazing kids. And I continue to have hard times, but I don't just focus on the pain. I look past and the amazing things that God has in store. So, as we start wrapping things up, there's a question that I like to ask the staff. So, I just realized, so I'm the executive director. My name is Jonathon Van Gils. I realized it was like Nathan introduced me, and then I just jumped right into the message. So I'm sorry. So at least thank you for introducing me. So I'm the executive director. So I normally love working behind the scenes. I love to just help and make sure that things happen. And so right now, we are looking for those of you who are new, we're looking for a senior pastor, and we're going through a process, and it's hard, and there are struggles with it. But God has amazing things in store for Redeemer. And I am so excited to see what he does in the coming months and years ahead. So, but as my position, I love asking the question, why? Why are things the way that they are? Are we truly meeting the need that we are trying to reach? Do we need to change things up? If things are going great, awesome, but why are we doing it? So, I want to ask you, why are you here? Why are you here today? Why are you sitting in those chairs? What got you to the point of getting out of bed, driving here on a beautiful Sunday morning, and sitting here instead of going doing something else? For those of you watching online, what got you to the point of clicking on this video and listening through this message? Is it just because it's what you've always done? Because your parents are here? Tradition? Duty? Passion? Is it your desire for community? A hope to learn more about who God is and how to live in relationship with him? Is it because you are at an absolute loss of what to do in life and you're at your wit's end? Regardless of why you're here, I want to challenge you towards something more. If you're here because you feel like you have to, why? Don't just be content with showing up for services once in a while. Become a part of what we're doing and meet needs. If you're here because you long for community and want to grow closer to God, that's amazing. Now that you're learning, who can you bring along with you? Who are you pouring into as you get poured into yourself? Truly ask yourself, why are you here? And what may God be calling you to be a part of? So, with that, as we continue to look forward, as we look past our pain, let's go out from this building focusing on what he wants us to do. Not just what we want, not my own desires, but Lord, what do you want me to do? Find a ministry to pour into. Find a community to be a part of. Live life with us. If you are not sure how to do that, connect with me. You can connect with Pastor Terry. Anybody who's wearing a lanyard, go to the websites. There's a table in the lobby. If you want to ask questions about different ministries or serving opportunities, there's a table in the lobby where you can ask all sorts of things. But do something. Don't just sit in I've just always done this. Why? Why are you doing what you're doing? And pray about that. So as I wrap things up, I wanted to read Jeremiah 29:11 through 13. And a lot of times we'll hear this verse, and we kind of stop at the plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope, and that's beautiful. But we get so focused on sweet, that's me. I get to prosper, and I get a hope, and I get a future, and that's not what it's all about. It's about our amazing, wonderful God seeing you and saying, I have amazing things in store for you. It may not be right this minute. It may not be 10 years from now, but he's got some amazing things in store for you, no matter who you are. I love looking out here and seeing the diversity, all sorts of ages and demographics, and we have all sorts of different thoughts and perspectives and whatnot, but we're here to worship our amazing, wonderful God. And so as we read this verse, I want you to think not just what you get out of it, but how can you grow closer to God and truly understand his plan for your life. Jeremiah 29:11 through 13. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. plans to give you a future and hope. Then you will call on me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all of your heart. Lord, I pray for that today. I pray for us to not just be so wrapped up in us and what we want and be wrapped up in the pain of what was, but look forward to, God, what do you want me to do? Have the hope in the moment. Look forward to the joy that you have for us. And even though we're still going through the pain, we can still have hope and joy and excitement because we know that you love us, you adore us. Lord, as I pray that as each of us walk out of this room, we can glorify him with all that we do. Help us to not just be settled in what we're doing now, but question why we're doing it and how we can do more, Lord. Lord, I just thank you for all the wonderful people here and how you've made them so beautifully and wonderfully made. Thank you for who they are and just all the beautiful pieces that they come together to make Redeemer as it is. And Lord, in your name we pray. Amen.